Wi-Fi for open space in general in Turkey?
So here's what's happening. It's open space is definitely part of it, and how do you say it? The hair that broke the camel's back, something like that. English is my second language, so I'm trying my best. Yeah, the straw. Thank you. The straw that broke the camel's back. So pretty much what happened was people were already getting upset because the government was taking away the women's right to choose, the day after pill, the right to drink alcohol after a certain time. It was just sort of like, if we start here, where will it end? If this is the first step, what's next? Yeah. So that was the idea. And then what happened is there was the park called Gezi Park in Taksim Square. It's the center of Istanbul. It's a huge, Istanbul is 20 million people. It's concrete all over. It's very hard to have open spaces. And this was one of the remaining open spaces. And it's one of the only people, during May Day, that's where people go to protest. It's the only place where a lot of people can get together at once rather than get blocked in small streets. And so I think when the police kind of spread that, I think people started to say, wait, we can't talk anymore. We can't even get together to make our message go through. And I think that's what scared a lot of people. And all of a sudden, there were people who were out there started calling their friends. Their friends came out on the street. And then everyone started outpouring. And when they saw the police brutality, said, we're not going to let them kick us out. So the way it is right now is people, and the thing is that in Istanbul, you have people in Taksim Square in that whole area that are being there all day. And it's actually going pretty well for them because there's a lot of media coverage. There's a lot of people like here who have Facebook, Twitter, cameras there all the time. It's in some of the smaller cities where the real violence is happening because there's no media coverage. So the more people know about it, the less likely the police is going to act out. Yep.
I just want to say that what they're doing is like a very historical thing. You say you have the right to assembly in the American Constitution. And it's very easy to have the right to assembly when you don't have a place to assemble.
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of places, I know universities in particular, the newer universities actually prevent any type of open space. They ask the architects to close it off, so you can never have 1,000 people in the same place because people are afraid of having people get together. I'll get back. I'm going to show you.
That's how it was at San Francisco State University. They had a free speech stage. It was enormous, about as big as this, with nice wide open grass. You could fill it up with 10,000 people. And every time we take over at State College, I did it twice. We had occupations and stuff overnight, fighting everything. But we asked to try and get that stage built back again, because that would keep it, strong for us. What are the organized labor response?
Organized labor response.
Organized labor response.
Okay, I can speak to that. And I'll also speak to the previous question too. So why is this happening in Istanbul today? Why Turkey today? So in the last 10 years, the new government, which has been building on the policies of older governments, but making them more aggressive, started a policy called urban renewal or urban transformation. You could translate it also as gentrification, but it is much more violent than gentrification. So they're not only taking over public spaces, they're not only taking over public parks, they're taking over squatter neighborhoods, and they're pushing poor populations out. And one of their last projects is actually cutting down a huge part of Istanbul's remaining forests to build a third bridge across the Bosphorus, which will bring in more cars to Istanbul. So it's going to lead to even further urban destruction and natural destruction. So these policies have been bothering environmentalists for a long time, squatters for a long time, but we have been unable to bring all of these people together. So there was one squatter resistance there, another environmentalist resistance over there, and then an anarchist resistance in another corner of the city. None of these ever got together. But when this happened right in the middle of the city, it drew a lot of attention from everywhere. And that's what sparked it. And now, what is labor's role in this? We have to take into account that organized labor is getting smaller and smaller in Turkey. So organized labor was 50% of the working class population in 1980, and then a violent coup occurred in 1980, and now organized labor is less than 10% of Turkey's working class force. It doesn't mean it's insignificant because it's a mobilized part of the population. But now they're also dividing organized labor into right-wing nationalists, leftists, Kurds, and most of them now Islamic nationalists, Islamic right-wingers. But despite all of these divisions, the Kurds and the leftists in organized labor are standing in solidarity with this movement in Taksim and all over Turkey. And it is actually, in part, not completely, but in part, thanks to organized labor, that these movements are not being hijacked by the nationalists, because there's also an extreme nationalist movement in Turkey that wants to topple the current Islamic neoliberal government, not through elections, not through mass demonstrations, but through a coup. And these people, unfortunately, are also on the streets, and some of them, I wouldn't blame all of them, but some of them are trying to hijack these demonstrations. And organized labor and the organized left in Turkey, as well as some other organized groups like environmentalists and feminists, are preventing the hijacking.
And your name, sir?
Cihan Tugal.
Thank you.